Okay, hi, good morning all, and thank you very much for attending at such short notice. I know you all have very busy schedules, so it's really appreciated that you all have been able to make the time to be here. We are here once again with issues concerning the Tobago Regional Health Authority and their treatment of patients. All right, we are concerned in relation to the way they have treated with a patient by the name of Florence Sammy Smart. And we have her daughters here, her husband is here, her sister is here, and they will be able to give us some insight as to what has been happening. All right, so I will just ask her sister to give a brief synopsis of what has transpired so far in terms of her treatment at the Scarborough Hospital, starting with the date she was admitted and what she was admitted for.
What's your full name?
Alison Sammy.
One arrow.
Yeah.
Alison?
One arrow. Alison.
Okay, so go on. Just tell them briefly what
On the
transpired.
24th of April, my sister called me to carry she to the hospital with a boil in her right side, breast. And when she went to the hospital, they admit her to the hospital. She walked into the hospital. Then they cut the breast, cut the boil to run out the information, and then after that, 2 days after, she get a heart attack. And they put she on the ventilator.
All right, so let me just take it from here. All right, so what essentially has happened? This is a woman who was almost 50 years of age, who walked into the hospital. All right, her only complaint was that she was suffering from a boil at the time. And the current state is that she's paralyzed, she's almost a vegetable, she's non-communicative, she's unable to speak, she had lost partial sight, her hearing is diminished, she's unable to, have any sort of meaningful interaction with her relatives, and she has been kept at the Scarborough Hospital for almost 4 months for a simple situation where she went in there to simply cut a boil. She's been in ICU 3 times. She spent a total of 2 months in the intensive care unit, and no one at the Scarborough Regional Hospital is giving the family answers as to what has happened. She suffered 3 heart attacks? Yeah. She suffered 3 heart attacks, right? 2 seizures. At one point, they said she was suffering from pneumonia. It seems that everything has occurred since she was admitted. She walked into the hospital healthy, except for this boil on the side of her chest. And she's now a vegetable lying in the hospital. And the Scarborough Regional Hospital has called upon the relatives on Friday, telling them to come and take her because they are discharging her. They are discharging her with oxygen tanks. She cannot eat for herself. She's being fed through a tube in her stomach. She cannot breathe for herself. She has to be intubated with a tube in her throat so that air can go down, oxygen can go down. She has to be fed oxygen through a tube in her throat. And she's been lying in this vegetable, paralyzed state in the hospital, and no one is able to give them any answers as to what is happening. And the latest thing they are telling her is, come and take your relative, take her home. We will give you oxygen tanks. And what else did they say they would give? They will provide a bed. They will send her home with a bed. This is what they're telling them. Clearly because they recognize the state that she's in, and obviously she's not able to take care of herself, and this requires very specialized care. So obviously it seems that they've reached the stage where they are passing the buck on to the family, so that whatever happens thereafter, it can be said, well, it occurred while she was in their care. We have since advised the relatives not to accept her, do not take the discharge of her, we must get a full report from the TRHA as to what has happened, all the occurrences which caused her to suffer this. I mean, imagine your mother goes into hospital to cut a boil and she's now a vegetable. Paralyzed, she cannot walk, she cannot move, she cannot talk. She suffered memory loss, she's not able to recognize her relatives. All of this from a scenario where you went in to cut a boil. So there are some serious answers to be given by the TRHA, because there's no way you will keep someone for 2 months in ICU unless these are extremely serious circumstances, and therefore you must be able to tell us what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. And that's what we're calling upon the TRHA to give us those answers today.
Have you written any letters to the TRHA regarding?
Well, they approached us Friday, so we're in the process of drafting that letter. We'll send out the first correspondence today, because we're asking for full medical records and all the medical notes which would accompany those records to show at each stage what occurred, what treatment was administered, what was done, because they are not giving the family that information. So please take a note of the name and ask questions of the TRHA. What is the status with Florence Sammy Smart of Murray Hall, number 1, Pembroke? Florence Sammy Smart of Murray Hall, number 1, Pembroke. Yes, she was employed as a janitor at Pembroke Anglican School. Obviously, there's no way she can continue her employment. Who is going to compensate her family for her loss of earnings and loss of employment? Because if you're totally paralyzed now, you're unable to carry out the functions of a janitor. Right? She has her family duties, her duties at home. She's not able to do those things. Her husband is here, you know. I mean, he's totally confused as to what has happened with his wife.
Any children?
Two.
These two children.
Was she at any time referred to for medical help in Trinidad?
So she was just completely okay, just the boy.
Yeah, that's the boy.
And she was admitted on the 24th, right?
Yeah.
In fact, the family tells me that where they live, they say it's down a very steep hill and you have lots of steps to climb also. They said she walked up there on the way to the hospital. She walked up the steps on her own. She walked into the hospital. So she was hale and hearty and, you know, quite capable. And now she's paralyzed and they don't know why. And no one from the TRH is giving any explanation.
Whole body paralyzed?
Yeah.
Whole body paralysis. The relatives have described her as a vegetable. Unable to walk. She's unable to even breathe on her own. That's why they have to insert the oxygen tube in her neck to feed her oxygen, because you cannot carry out any of your own functions. She cannot eat on her own. She's being fed through a tube in her stomach.
They moved the tube from her stomach and put it by her belly.
Yeah, it was in her nose.
Right, okay, right. So it's now in her stomach. She's being fed through her stomach, through a tube. So I think somebody needs to explain what occurred here.
How old is she?
50.
So she went into the hospital with a boy and now she's paralyzed.
Yeah.
How long it took before they told you all that she was paralyzed?
After they had attacks and all that, we were seeing the effects after, and then they come in and tell us about the brain damage, and then this is what was happening and all that.
And she was hospitalized on 24th of April.
About a month after or so? How long?
Yeah, could be about a month.
I think at one point they said that they told you all that she was brain dead.
Yeah.
Do you know who would have performed the surgical procedure?
And the other thing too, they did the surgery on the wall, like lying down on the bed. They just cut the breast and did the surgery right there. But I thought normally they'll take her to the theater, because I know that is where surgeries are supposed to be done.
And during the procedure, she felt everything.
Yeah, because
It was done as a local
Yeah.
anesthetic.
Yeah, right on the bed.
and I have this could prove that when they cut it and they squeeze it, she's going, oh God.
Yeah, people outside
Yeah.
in the waiting room could hear her scream.
And come and
Boy
tell
was
me.
where? Boy was
And
where?
It's on the right side. So we will be sending up that correspondence today. We'll send out copies to you all,
Yes, please.
so that you all will be able to, have something. But we definitely are saying that today we must get answers from the TRHA, because it cannot be acceptable that you give no explanation. You simply tell relatives, come and take your family member and take her home with a bottle of oxygen. You don't know how to administer oxygen to a patient who is in a state like that, a comatose state. You don't know how to feed her or anything of the sort. So how are they putting that responsibility on the family without giving any explanation? So these are the things we're calling upon them to answer. All right. So unless there's anything further, I have to thank you all for coming and for being here. And certainly I will keep in touch, and I will let you all have copies of the correspondence as we send it out. All right. But I certainly must express personally, on behalf of myself and the relatives, my thanks to the media in Tobago, particularly for being vigilant in the issues of health, because I think it's through the media not letting up on these issues that we've started to see some kind of awareness coming, even among members of the public who may have previously taken something like this and not even complained, because they would say, well, it's the hospital. And we are recognizing that there are avenues whereby you can ask questions and you are entitled to ask questions and get proper answers.
Husband, you could have your name?
Lawrence Mark.
Who?
Lawrence Mark.
Lawrence, L-A-U-R-E-N-C.
Yes.
L-A-W-R-E-N-C. And daughter.
Risa Simmons, R-E-S-A.
Risa,
Yeah, R-E-S-A.
Rina, Karina.
K-A-R-E-N-E.
Yeah.
Sister.
Yeah.
Lawrence. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sure.
Thank you.
So, welcome.